Hi guys, so there's a bit of a diplomatic row brewing between the Irish and British governments over asylum seekers using the common travel area to leave Great Britain and flee to the Republic of Ireland via Northern Ireland. Brexiteers and right-wing commentators believe Christmas has arrived early, as they try to paint this as some sort of revenge against the Irish over their Brexit stance and in a way for the UK to get one over the EU or something. GB News could have invited somebody who actually understands something, but instead they had Neil Hamilton, the head of UKIP, on to demonstrate his complete lack of understanding of the issue. Have a listen.
First, let's take a look at the legal and political implications of this in the company of the leader of UKIP, former Tory MP and lawyer Neil Hamilton. Neil, good to see you. Are we obliged to take these migrants back?
No, certainly not. They're illegal immigrants to the United Kingdom to start with, if they come here, and the Irish government has no power to return them to our shores.
Okay, so the first part is perhaps true. The Irish government are not able to send these people back. The Irish government is looking at legislation at the moment in order to do so. But first of all, these people are not illegal migrants or illegal immigrants. We're talking about asylum seekers. Because if they were quote-unquote illegal, then they would have been deported. You're making an assumption that these people are somehow illegal when you don't know anything about them. If they're in Britain and they haven't been deported, then we have to assume that they are refugees or asylum seekers. Because if they're neither, then they would be deported.
So, I think this is a highly amusing situation because under Leo Varadkar, the last Taoiseach, of course, Ireland basked in its own moral superiority. And of course, he weaponised the Irish border between the south and the north.
He didn't weaponise it. He pointed out the clear fact that under the Good Friday Agreement, it requested a removal of infrastructure on the border. And he pointed out that if the UK left the European Union and the single market, then a border would have to go somewhere. So the solution was to put the border in the Irish Sea, not on the island of Ireland. Because maybe Hamilton here hasn't read the Good Friday Agreement. Maybe he doesn't understand why it was necessary to avoid at all costs a border on the island of Ireland. I've explained before. If there was a border, then you'd need to protect that border. You'd need to have infrastructure. And that would be in breach of the Good Friday Agreement. And
refused to have any concept of border controls. So now the Irish have got what they wished for. And I think we should send every single illegal immigrant to Britain over to Newry or somewhere like that.
So you want the British government to engage in people trafficking? Okay. You want the British government to break international law. You want to see Rishi Sunak arrested as a people trafficker. Because that's what you're calling for. Now, first of all, once again, these people are not illegal immigrants. We're talking about asylum seekers. So you want the British government to... He's not saying just let them go. He's saying we should actually move them there. We should actually send them there. So he wants the British government to engage in people trafficking. Can you imagine, how that would go down with Britain's partners?
They can walk across the border and seek sanctuary in the place where they'll be totally safe. Because after all, if the United Kingdom isn't safe for asylum...
Why are these people laughing? Why are they smiling about this? They think it is some sort of joke that Britain would be breaking international law, that Britain would be engaging in people trafficking. I thought they hated these smuggling gangs. They constantly talk about how the smuggling gangs have to be crushed. Well, the British government would be engaging in people smuggling.
Asylum seekers, it would be quite wrong for us to accept them in their own interests.
Well, Neil, it is ironic, isn't it, that Ireland want migrants returned to their first safe country of arrival. If only the French took the same view.
Well, indeed. And of course, it was the Dublin Agreement of the EU which established this principle in the first place. But now Dublin seems to have rejected its own named agreement.
Because Britain is not part of this agreement. What the hell are you talking about? Didn't you understand what Brexit was about? You campaigned for Brexit. You wanted out of that agreement.
This just points up the total hypocrisy of governments all over the place where they want to escape their own responsibility for the migration catastrophe which has now engulfed us all. And there is no solution to this problem unless we take a sort of united position that we control access to actually the whole of Europe.
Sorry, what? Are you talking about rejoining the European Union? So Britain can work in unison with the European Union or as part of the European... You want to have the same policies as the European Union? This is a Brexiteer talking.
The minute, because the whole continent is being besieged by the rest of the world from Africa and from Asia. And the numbers of people who want to come to the West for very obvious reasons, that they get a much better life here materially and in other ways as well, then we simply can't cope with the numbers. But countries like Ireland in the past, of course, have felt that they were immune from these problems. Yeah. And now they are facing it themselves. Of course, they're having to face up to reality for once.
They've been drinking the woke Kool-Aid and they don't like the taste of it.
This guy is supposed to be a comedian, so I presume that's a joke.
Is this diplomatic row proof that the Rwanda plan could actually work?
Well, in a perverse way, it could, except that they go to Ireland rather than Rwanda. I don't care where they go, so long as they're not in the United Kingdom.
Wow, what a wonderful individual this guy is. Did GB News scrape the bottom of the barrel here? Lee Anderson wasn't available.
How do you see this playing out? This will embolden Rishi Sunak, won't it?
Well, Rishi Sunak is a complete weakling, I think. I don't think the Rwanda plan is actually going to make that much difference in the grand scheme of things. I'm very happy to try it. But I don't think that the numbers that can be sent to Rwanda are going to make any real difference in the short or indeed even the medium term. The big elephant in the room, which Sunak has utterly failed to grapple with, is that because of the European Convention on Human Rights and the UN Refugee Convention, then we can't be a sovereign country controlling our own borders.
It's nothing to do with sovereignty. It's nothing to do about controlling your borders. Of course, he's from UKIP, so they don't want any immigrants. They don't want any asylum seekers. Like, notice the language he used here. He was calling asylum seekers illegal immigrants that should be people trafficked to Ireland because he doesn't like the look of them. He doesn't want them around the place. Now, when it comes to this diplomatic row, I think it will eventually be resolved. I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup. And when it comes to, as a deterrent under what Rishi Sunak is planning with Rwanda, it's not going to work because we're talking about people who are already in Britain. It's not a deterrent if it's for people who are, if people in Britain are using it. The deterrent is supposed to stop the boats. It's supposed to be, well, we're going to send you to Rwanda, or we'll send you to Ireland, or we'll send you somewhere else, and that will be the deterrent. But the Tories can't get around the problem of, well, Rwanda is a safe country according to them, so they're sending people to a safe country. That's the deterrent. None of this makes any sense. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.